Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our special council meeting for the City of Kalgoorlie-Boulder for tonight, the 8th of July 2024, here at the Kalgoorlie Town Hall. Opening the meeting at 6 p.m, I'd like to show my respect and acknowledge all of the traditional custodians of the land in which we meet tonight, and as council, show our respect to elders past and present. As this evening there is a special council meeting agenda, I'll now read the disclaimer. Please note this meeting is being recorded and streamed live on the Council's website in accordance with the City's public participation in Council meeting policy, which can be viewed on Council's website. All reasonable care is taken to maintain your privacy. However, as a visitor in the public gallery, your presence may be recorded. By remaining in the public gallery, it is assumed your consent is given if your image is broadcast. The recommendations contained in this agenda are officers' recommendations only and should not be acted upon until Council has resolved to adopt those recommendations. The resolutions of Council should be confirmed by perusing the minutes of the Council meeting at which these recommendations were considered. Members of the public should also note that they act at their own risk if they enact any resolution prior to receiving official written notification of Council's decision. Item 3 this evening is attendance. In attendance for our special council meeting, we have myself, Deputy Mayor Della, Councillor Winner, Councillor Johnson, Councillor O'Donnell, Councillor Brownlee, Councillor Turner and Councillor Viskovich. Our members of staff this evening, our CEO, Andrew Bryan, Director of Community Development, Mia Hicks, Director of Engineering, Louis Camporelli, Acting Director of Development is not present this evening. The Executive Manager of Finance, Andrew Curnow, Governance Officer, Jamie Boys, IT Service Delivery Officer, Sashi Kakala, and also Pia Timu from the City of Kalgoorlie-Boulder in our media team, in our marketing team. No visitors tonight. We have one member of the press. We have an apology from Councillor Bodica this evening, who is still unwell. We wish her all the best with her recovery from her operation. And apologies from staff, Director of Development and Growth, Alex Weiss, Director of Corporate and Commercial, Glenda Abraham, and Executive Manager, Governance and Risk Services, Francis Liston, and we'll add Mr. Lees into that as well tonight. There is no leave of absence, no public access this evening and no public question time. Notations of interest this evening, councillors, as this is considered a matter for all of us. There is no need for any notations of interest this evening. We do, however, have a procedural motion to suspend Section 9.1 of the Standing Orders Local Act of 2013. Can we have a recommendation that Council suspends Section 9.1 of our Standing Orders? Moved, Councillor Viskovich, seconded, Councillor Johnson. No discussion on that, councillors? No, thank you. Councillor Viskovich and Councillor Johnson. No dissent. Means we can sit down when we debate this evening. Carried 8-0. Item 7, 711 from the Chief Executive Officer. Just before we have the officer recommendation, there has been a slight change to the recommendation this evening. Mr. CEO.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Not sure if that's been sent across as yet. Yep, I'd like to bring it up on the screen.
Please direct your attention to the screen. It relates to item 3 of the recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If I may, it's just providing some additional clarity around the changes to the minimum payments that are in there. So it just specifies that what the level of the minimum payment is going to be. In the previous resolution, it just had an increase in the minimum. This just spells it out, make it a little bit clearer as to what Council's voting on.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. Do we have a mover for the officer recommendation? Councillor Johnson moving the officer recommendation with that amendment. Seconded, Councillor Turner. Councillor Johnson, you wish to speak? Councillor Turner, wish to speak? Speaker against? Speaker for? Speaker against? Speaker for? Councillor Winner, Speaker for.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll keep this one brief because it appears all councillors seem to be on the same page with this one. I just wanted to highlight it's really important that residents understand it's not an 11% increase. It's very much, as we can see on here, the residential minimum rate in there is 5.2%, which is fantastic. And it's also worth noting that we do have a number of assistance plans and assistance packages in place to support pensioners as well as those which are finding it a little bit tough during the times that we're in, and that can be done through an application process. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Winner. Speaker against? Speaker for? before the mover has the right of reply. Thank you, Councillor Winner, for those comments. Noting, obviously, there were 19 submissions that were received, councillors, in regards to this. I think this is one of our more livelier rate submission processes that we've gone through in recent times based on a lot of misinformation that was in the community. The key piece here is the 11% increase to rate revenue and not an 11% increase to rates. Those who are looking at this particular table now to be included in the officer recommendation will be able to compare and contrast their minimum payment from 2023-24 to 24-25 and see what that means for them. I think this is a clearer step forward for us based on that original officer recommendation. Councillor Johnson, you have a right of reply.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. And I think the confusion was around the GRV residential, and I think a lot of ratepayers did look at the 11% and were shocked and mentioned that in its entirety to a lot of elected members around this table and in the press and in the public arena. 5.2%, 2% cheaper than last year. So we've got to get that right, 2% cheaper. So, which is a good thing. I think the 11% yield is the word that has been used. Just means that we're probably got our smarts and we're looking at other areas where we as a city can raise income for our city using areas which are areas that perhaps before haven't been looked at as seriously as we're looking at them now. As a council, we're very conscious of the cost of livings, and I think this is a great example of this city's council at 5.2%, saving at 2% or roughly that area going forward. And I hope everyone endorses it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Johnson. I'll put it to the vote this evening. Obviously, it is a big one, so rather than ask if there's any dissent, councillors, those in favour of the officer recommendation as moved by Councillor Johnson, please raise your hand. Those against? Carried 8-0. No confidential items tonight, and I close our special council meeting at 6:07. Thank you for your attendance this evening. Thank you to our staff who have prepared that submission process for us and gone through that submission process and also given us a figure to work with. We now give our staff that figure to work with as well, and we look forward to that process playing out for the budget on July 22. Thank you to all those as well who've tuned in online and visited our meeting this evening. Thank you.